Wow. Welcome to the AVG Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host with the most. My name is Michael Marcanio, and I'm here with my co-host, Tyler Revelis, also known as It's Your Boy T on Twitter. Follow him. Say what's up. And I also got Mr. 645, also known as Anthony Revelis. I got that backwards. I do the also known as should have been Mr. 645, but listen, we're fucking rolling with it because this is episode 42 of the AVG Fantasy Football Podcast. And what we're doing today, it's amazing. It's amazing what we're doing today. We're going round by round, telling you who to pick up, who to target in your fantasy football draft. I know it's a little bit late in the draft season, but if you haven't had your draft yet, this will be super helpful information. Before we start the episode, though, go ahead and subscribe to us on YouTube. This is actually going to be one of the episodes where it's a little bit more useful to watch on YouTube because we're going to have more visuals. We're going to go through a whole list of ADPs and all that good stuff. So go check out the YouTube. Go give it a subscribe there. Subscribe to the podcast on the Apple Podcast app or Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm going to do, like I always do in every episode, a little table of contents within the description. That is easy for you to be able to navigate through the episode. That's on every episode. So if you are like, oh, I already know who I want in the first and second round, I'm curious what I should take in the seventh round. That's where it gets foggy for me. Go ahead in the table of contents. You just click on seventh round right there, and boom, you know who to take in the seventh round. Sounds pretty useful to me. So yes, go check out all of our other social medias, Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff. All those are linked down in the description below. You ready to get started, boys? Let's get it started.
I'm always ready. Born ready.
Oh my gosh, you guys look so ready.
That's why I'm wearing red, because I'm ready.
Honestly, when I saw you put on the headphones before we started, and I got very excited. I was like, I thought we were going to get headphone Anthony on this episode.
Sometimes I'm a tease.
Truly. And I did your favorite thing. I burped right in the podcast. Okay.
I can't hear it because I'm not wearing those headphones.
Is that why? Because I burped during the podcast and you don't want to hear
Maybe. I was like, I don't know why, but it irks me when you do that. And you're like, oh, it does? And I was like, I don't know, kind of.
I felt really bad after you said that, actually. All right. But yes, let's go. We're going over. So we're on Fantasy Football Calculator. If you're wondering what we're looking at, we have we're going to go half point PPR ADP and just basically go through each round. You want to start us off, Tyler, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, so like Mike said, we're going to go round by round. We're going to kind of talk about certain players that we kind of like in those rounds that we're targeting, and then maybe some players that we're kind of avoiding for that draft price. When you're in the first round, the top 10, 12 picks, it's kind of, you're getting a lot of stud running backs, and then a couple of the elite wide receivers. But, I've heard a couple people say, you can't win your draft in the first round on your first pick, but you can lose your draft in the first round on your first pick. So just for this first round or two, we're just going to talk about certain players that are going in the first round or two that maybe we just don't like them for that value of the first or second round pick. And we might be avoiding them because we like the values of other players right there. So I guess I'll just start it off. So like Mike said, he's got the ADP up here from the Fantasy Football Calculator. And if there's just one player that I'm just going to be avoiding in the first round, for me it's Dalvin Cook. You got the contract situation holdout. You got, the injury concerns, plus the whole COVID-19 scenario where if he gets it, he's out for 3 weeks. So just a lot of different question marks right there. I liked his value last year. I was pretty high on him last year for that second round price tag, or even you could even cut him maybe in the third round in some leagues. But when you're looking at that first round price tag right there, I don't want too many question marks for my RB1. So that'll be just a guy who I'm avoiding personally in the first round.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that one. Where would you take Dalvin Cook? Like if you were like 7th pick or 8th pick, would you take him? Or are you just not even going to look there?
Second round, but he's not going to be there.
Yes, if he falls to the second round, and me out, like on my strategy, kind of after doing all these mock drafts, is I like to go RB pretty much in the first 2 rounds. So yeah, if I could get a good locked and loaded RB1, and then now Dalvin Cook's my RB2, that risk adverse isn't as high as having him as my RB1. Where if he tanks and he busts, then my team is already at a massive disadvantage. But if I already have a solid running back as my RB1. with a safe floor week in, week out, then yeah, as an RB2, that would be nice. But like Anthony said, that's going to be highly unlikely.
Yeah, I mean, where I'd be looking would be, you have the tier of Joe Mixon, Jacobs, Chubb. I'd probably still take all those guys ahead of him. Where you get into the Kenyon Drake, Miles Sanders, Austin Eckler, there's some question marks there. That's probably where I'd look at him there. And I'd probably already have my one, and maybe I take Josh Jacobs when I'm at that turn and looking at it. That'd be the scenario, but he's going to more than likely be gone there. But I guess you never know. Sometimes you play in a league where everyone's just scared off.
Yeah,
I've seen it happen before. So, Zeke was going in like the second round in some leagues last year. People were just free. I took him 1 overall. I was like, I'm rolling this dice, baby. Or I took him 2 overall, I think it was. But yeah, I mean, that second round kind of is what comes down for me.
That's a good way to make sure you don't have him on your team. Is if like you're saying you're not targeting him in the first round. Like if you're like, oh, I'll get him in the second round. It's like that's not going to happen. So you're ensuring that you don't have a guy on your team that you don't want.
Yeah, I think he's just one of those guys where I'd rather not have him and be wrong instead of have him and be right.
Yeah,
or however that saying goes that we always say.
No, for sure. So is that the main guy you're trying to avoid, or you?
Mine would be Derrick Henry. It's I stated, on the podcast I talked about my concerns for, I think it was like 6 touchdowns were 1-yard touchdowns, and just the offense and total regression potential and how the defense needs to be on point. And we saw throughout his career how he had a lot of up and down games. He doesn't catch the ball. All these guys in the top, going down to Joe Mixon, at the bottom are pass catchers. If Derrick Henry goes for 60 yards in a game and doesn't catch a pass or catches 1, I mean, that he's going as a top 5 pick. I just don't like the potential weekly downside for me. Not saying he couldn't lead the league in rushing again, but we talked about the potential for those touchdowns if they came down to 8 and what it would do to his total points, or 9, which is still a lot for a running back in a season in a sense. So yeah, for me it's Derrick Henry.
Mike, what about you?
Yeah, I'm honestly just with you on both of those. I would have said Joe Mixon at first for a while, but I've kind of changed my opinion on that. So I'm kind of with you on Derrick Henry. I know he did have a lot of carries last year. I think he had like 405 touches on the year, which is like insane. But I'm with Tyler on that. The touchdown regression, all that scares me. I'd rather go and take a swing on Clyde Edwards-Helaire on being the first round draft pick for the Chiefs. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
With that being said, obviously CEH, he's kind of catapulted into the top 10 picks. Damian
he
Williams,
went up quick.
He opts out. So, just getting your guys' input, because I feel like a lot of people have been asking about it. Where would you feel comfortable drafting Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Are you reaching for him? Is it kind of like if he falls to you at a certain point? Or where do you have him ranked according to you?
I would go the first 3 and then Alvin Kamara, and then I'm okay with taking Clyde Edwards. That's where I have him at.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with Mike.
Yeah.
So
I'm okay with it there.
Yeah, we did a draft the other day, Mike. I had the 5th pick, full point PPR on that one. We're doing half point PPR for this segment, but that was a full point PPR draft we did in went CMC, Zeke, Barkley, Kamara, and then I took Clyde Edwards at 5 overall over Derrick Henry, over Joe Mixon, Michael Thomas, all those guys. I just like the upside. I'll gamble with it. I think the upside in that Chiefs offense is worth it right there.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw Saquon come in, and I'm not saying he's Saquon, but we saw him as a rookie come in and be a workhorse for an average offense. This is an elite offense.
Yeah.
So I mean, the upside it's in the top 3
for sure.
Yeah, I'm all about Clyde Edwards-Helaire. When are you taking? I'm just curious, really quick. With Michael Thomas, like obviously the running backs they drop off really quick. Are you taking Michael Thomas at one point? Like, what running backs are you taking Michael Thomas over?
I'm probably not taking Michael Thomas because he won't fall to where I'll touch him. I've said it. I have Devontae Adams as my wide receiver 1, so I'm going to target him. If you want to go with the player I like, Devontae Adams, I mean, I'll just
receiver.
I'll just catapult after that. Michael Thomas is going to probably be in that 5, 6, 7 range, where he's kind of going. I'm going to target Devontae Adams in that turn if I'm on the turn in a lot of drafts. So I mean, like I said, I think I have him pegged to lead the league in targets. The touchdown upside, as we've seen, it's higher than what Michael Thomas is, and I think the touchdown ratio last year in the running game is not going to continue this year. They're going to score more rushing touchdowns. And as much as I do like Drew Brees, Emmanuel Sanders is just another weapon in there that's going to kind of just cause he's going to command some targets. Sean Payton uses these guys. So for me, I'm targeting Devontae Adams in the first round, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like Anthony said, I'm probably not going to get Michael Thomas at all because I'd rather get a running back. One of these. I want to get a top 10 running back with my first round pick and then swing back around in the second round. And if I can get 2 potentially top 10, depending on how the draft unfolds, or 2 top 15 running backs, that's really how I want to start off. I'm probably not going to get either one of these guys. But if I was going to take a shot on one, I agree with Anthony. I'm going Devontae Adams. I just think because you're getting him a little bit later. And, I mean, you did the draft, Mike. You were able to – you had the 12th pick, but you were able to grab a running back and then grab Devontae Adams on the turn right there. So it's not bad, grab running back and then grab Devontae.
Like, so I was in a situation, so we could just say that for the wide receivers. That's where, like, if I'm on that tail end, like, I wanted to go Kenyon Drake and Josh Jacobs. Both those guys were gone at the 12th pick. So I ended up going Eckler and Devontae Adams. So, I mean, that's once it drops off of those running backs that you like in that first tier, I guess you would call that the second tier. That's when I'm like, okay, I'd rather take a wide receiver that could be definitely has a high possibility chance of finishing wide receiver 1 than having a running back that could end up busting in that first round. You know?
When I say targeting Devontae Adams, I don't mean like I'm going to take him at 106 where Michael Thomas would be going. I would take a running back. I mean I'm going to be targeting him late when I'm at that turn in drafts, like Mike just said, at the 12th pick or 11th pick in that scenario.
Yeah, for sure. Is there anything else you want to talk on first round?
Nope, I think that's it.
No.
Round 2. Oh,
round 2,
just died?
baby.
Oh, breaking news.
What do we got?
I don't know if that's a breaking news drop, but we'll use it.
We use it for everything.
Yeah, no. It says
Tyler got a haircut. Yeah. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, so Sleeper Bot, if you probably could pick that up. The mic probably picked up that noise, but that's a Sleeper Bot breaking news app, or just when you get an alert from Sleeper Bot in general. But it says Los Angeles Chargers wide receiver Mike Williams is expected to miss most of September. So, I mean, you know me, I'm a big Mike Williams guy. I think I'm probably the big Mike Williams truther out of all of us on the podcast.
Yeah.
But I have 0 shares of, I've only done 2 drafts so far, but I have 0 shares of Mike Williams, and I'm just kind of not even fading him. I mean, I'm fading him right now as much as I loved him last year and as much as I love the talent of who he is. I just think with Tyrod Taylor and that whole offense, it's a massive, downtick in terms of the amount of passing that's going to go on from Rivers to Tyrod. And then, banged up the shoulder. He's got an AC joint injury, most likely is what it is. I personally suffered that myself, and pretty painful. So I think I was telling you, Mike, off air yesterday, like I couldn't move my arm for a while. I know Anthony was there when it happened. Really painful. So I couldn't imagine, trying to land on it, or, guys are hitting you in the shoulder. So, yeah, Mike Williams would be on my do not draft list right now. And then maybe later on down the road you could potentially pick him up. But, yeah, breaking news, little breaking news, baby.
The interesting thing is that you're not even targeting Keenan Allen. So, like, why would you target Mike Williams?
Yeah, well, this has actually boosted up my Keenan Allen and my Hunter Henry rankings because, especially Keenan Allen, kind of more breaking news, I guess. He just got paid today, secured the bag. I think it was, 4 years, $80 million.
I can't remember.
Contract extension. So, yeah, he got a nice little contract extension. So, I mean, with no Mike Williams there, you got to think the ball has to get thrown to somebody, even if he's not throwing as much as Phillip Rivers was. Hunter Henry, not the model of health. Keenan Allen's kind of been the guy, and, he just got paid. So, this actually did boost my rankings up for Keenan Allen. I think, he's probably 3rd, 4th round. I think that's where he's appropriately ranked at.
Well said.
Maybe we'll touch on him when we get there.
Well said. All right, so we can move on to the second round. Who's your favorite guy that's going in the second round? Is it one of these running backs? Are you trying to grab one of these quarterbacks or these tight ends? Or are you staying away from them? Who's your favorite guy, I guess? Or is that how you want to frame it?
I mean, yeah, we could do that. Like I said, I like to go running back. So if I could grab one of these top running backs in the first round, and then I'm all in on the Kenyon Drake trade. So if there's a way where Drake slips to the second round and I can get him, I'm all in on Drake. I know, just listen to some other people talk and some articles. I know if you were to take David Johnson, Chase Edmonds, and Drake, and you just put those stats as the running back through the whole entire year, you would have a top 5 running back for what those guys were able to put up in Cliff Kingsbury's offense. So yeah, I'm all in on the Drake train. If I get him in the second round, I love it.
Yeah, I agree with what Tyler said. I mean, the one running back I was able to get in it's been a mock draft where we got him, he's right on that turn would be Nick Chubb, kind of the same thing. If I can get him in the second, like that turn, I'm jumping on him right there. He's probably the one I'm trying, but they're on the turn, so I'm looking at Aaron Jones' price tag's a little bit too at the 205 right in that where he's at 205. I'm gonna probably go with Julio Jones if he's still there. That's probably who I'd be. He's my second round receiver. The only thing is I love Calvin Ridley so much that I'm struggling to take Julio because I want to target Ridley in like the 4th round. So it's like for me personally, that's where I'm like having a hard time sometime with Julio. But I might just have to take a league where I'm just like, all right, it's Julio. Maybe I take Ridley too.
Trade equity.
Yeah.
You know me. I'm always doing trade equity. I kind of agree. You know, like I feel like once you get past these running backs of, you know, Nick Chubb, Kenyon Drake, Miles Sanders, Austin Eckler, maybe Josh Jacobs falls into the second round. I feel like once you get past there, like that Eckler threshold line, once you get to like Aaron Jones, Chris Carson, you know, Todd Gurley, you know, James Conner, some of these guys, that's kind of where I'm thinking like, okay, these guys are 3rd, 4th rounders to me, not second rounders. You know, like I said, if I can get one of those top running backs, you know, Eckler, Chubb, Sanders, Drake, Josh Jacobs, I'm trying to get one of those guys for sure. If not, I think it gets to a point where the tight end value of a Travis Kelce and a George Kittle, I'm willing to pull the trigger on one of these guys kind of in the middle or to the back end of the second round and kind of just lock in a set it and forget it tight end one for the rest of my year instead of waiting on it. But that's just, you know, obviously sometimes you got to see how the draft unfolds. You can't really go in with a game plan because there's always curveballs, you know, things happen that you wouldn't anticipate. But yeah, this is kind of where I would maybe be taking a shot at one of those guys.
Yeah, I'm the same way because I'm not gonna. I just personally am not gonna take Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson. I just not an early quarterback guy. If you are, I don't blame you in the end of the second round, middle to end. I mean, they could both be league winners. I mean, you know, just the amount of points they can put up in a given week and how they can carry your team. So I'm not mad at it. But personally, like I'm the same way. I'm kind of hoping I'm in that back end of the second because I do like the value of getting one of those tight ends and then going a direction in the next round.
Mike, what about you? Who you aiming? Who you fading in round 2?
Well, I'm definitely fading Aaron Jones. You could call me an Aaron Jones hater, but you're talking about no shares of certain people. I would hope to not have any shares of Aaron Jones. Even I was super hyped on Miles Sanders, but I think his price tag is a little bit too high with this small amount of games to look at. It's not like he has a whole season or, you know, 2 whole seasons. I think it's like 6 games as like the starting running back. So that's too heavy of a price for someone I haven't seen enough. But I'm not mad at some of these receivers. If I could grab Julio Jones in the second round, say I go running back and a Julio Jones, which he seems to be falling to like the end of the second round, I'm about it. I'm the same way with targeting Calvin Ridley, Anthony. So I'm kind of with you on that. I don't think I'm going to target any quarterbacks early. I'm not mad at grabbing Travis Kelce or George Kittle. It's these other tight ends that are kind of in the middle rounds that I'm avoiding. So if I can have one of those and not have to worry about grabbing a tight end, I'm with it.
Yeah, I mean, if it's I might just target Tyreek Hill there instead of Julio if I want to get a Calvin Ridley in that draft.
Just like a 1A, 1B almost.
1A, so.
What about D-Hop right there? So you have him in that same tier with Tyreek and Julio Jones. D-Hop's right there in the second round. A little too rich, a second round price tag for you, or are you taking a shot on him if he falls to you like towards the tail end of the second?
I will not be taking him in the second round. I know Dre might disagree. I've just had a hard time breaking down the target share, and he's going to need can he do it? Yes, but he's going to need a 10-plus touchdown season to even be in the top 5. Now, if he doesn't score 10, then it's going to be it's probably going to be problems based off the target share. So for me, he's going as a wide receiver 5. I'm going to sit back and target someone in the next round or even round after. Or I'll just go to the tight end like we discussed right there.
Yeah, D-Hop's a little too rich for me in the second round. I think that's unrealistic that he falls to the third in a 12-man league. But in a 10-man league, you never know. Maybe, you get a Lamar, Mahomes go there, 2 tight ends go. Maybe Chris Godwin goes or something like that. You never know. Maybe he does fall to that third round. But, yeah, that's where I would feel a little more comfortable. But majority of the time, D-Hop's not getting it out of the second round. So, yeah, I'll just be fading him in the second round.
Yeah. I'm with you, but I love Austin Eckler in the second round. If I can, I think that Austin Eckler is the kind of guy that he really proved himself to be the number one. They got rid of a running back when they made cuts the other day. I think they have a lot of faith. Even remember watching Hard Knocks? This is like one cool thing that they showed in the last Hard Knocks episode. But Austin Eckler jumped over this stack of things with a football over him. It's like basically like a high jump, and this dude he jumped over like something that was like 2 feet above his head.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, I just think
a bunch of bags stacked on a couple trash cans, like you said,
yeah,
like a high jump, and he jumped over 6 of them. I think
with the football in his hand,
yeah,
and like with not a big run up. So I'm not saying that that's why I'm drafting him. It just is like further hype to me for him. But I just think, yeah, you know, people are getting so hyped on some of these running backs, and Austin Eckler's really proved himself. He's proved himself to be fantasy relevant, even with behind Melvin Gordon. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm not really scared of these other guys coming in and like taking his role. I think he's proved that he's their guy.
Yeah, I mean, no Mike Williams, like we just said, for pretty much the first 4 games. It's looking like the first 3-4 games. So a couple extra targets here and there to Eckler's way potentially too.
Yeah, that's what I like, baby. But yeah, we can move on to the 3rd round.
Ding ding.
The first name that I see in the 3rd round that I don't like is James Conner.
So why is that? Because I've heard a lot of James Conner hype recently. They're saying, you know, they're going to give him like the bell cow workhorse workload or whatever. You know, he's in a contract year, and you're a Steelers fan. So what is that you don't like about James Conner?
It's not that I don't like him. It's just I would rather grab. I mean, I'm not going to take. If I'm not going to take him, I'm not going to take another running back there. But I am trying to target double running backs early. But I'm looking at some of these receivers. I'd rather have them than James Conner to me. Like, I'd rather have a Kenny Galladay, to be honest. I wouldn't like Mike Evans over him. I don't know. I guess if he falls late in the 3rd round, I'm not mad at it, actually. But just early, like 301, which is like where he's here on the ADP, I don't think I would do that.
Yeah, it's just it's like I can see the world where he plays 16 games and he ends up being a value. You're getting him at that 3rd round turn. You know, he gets you maybe let's just say 40, 50 catches and 200 and something carries and his goal line back. I can see it. It's just I'm kind of just sketched out to say the least with it.
I will say Mike Tomlin did come out and say basically that they're not going to do a bunch of split carries. They're going to have James Conner be their guy, so that does help his stock a little bit, and I think that's why his value has gone up as of recently. But this offense, there's a lot more pieces to it than in previous years. I think it'll spread the ball out a little bit more, but upside though, he could get majority of every carry.
So where would you feel comfortable drafting James Conner? 4th round then?
Yeah, like tail end of 3rd round, I'm not mad at it. Like say,
I'm cool with that.
I mean, like a couple names you have next to him. So you have James Conner, you have David Johnson, Todd Gurley, Jonathan Taylor, Le'Veon Bell, Melvin Ingram, and Mark Ingram. Just kind of what's on the board right now. Where do you feel comfortable? Like, you know,
I would take
running backs are taking over him?
I would take maybe Todd Gurley or Jonathan Taylor over him.
What about your boy David Johnson?
That's hard.
It was kind of one of your guys.
Yeah, I would probably take David Johnson over him.
Is it weird? It's like when I draft David Johnson, I'm just like, I don't feel like excited about it. Like I've taken him some mocks and I'm just like, I don't know.
This is a sketchy round right here. A lot of question marks for these running backs. I mean, James Conner.
But that's what I mean. Is
different scenarios. David Johnson, different scenarios. You know, is he going to, rebound? Todd Gurley with the knee. Jonathan Taylor with the workload. Le'Veon Bell. He's got Adam Gase. Melvin Gordon. He's got Phillip Lindsay. Mark Ingram. He's got J.K. Dobbins. So it's like this is kind of a sketchy round for running backs right here.
That's why it's like, that's why I almost would rather go Chris Godwin or Kenny Galladay. I'm not really that high on Mike Evans, but you can make the argument for it. I'm down for Adam Thielen. I would almost rather grab these guys. Say I go 2 running backs in that tail end of the 1st round. We get into the 3rd round. I'm with it. Let's go grab one of these receivers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
No, you good.
Finish.
No, you good. I just said you know what I mean.
Oh, I will. I know he's a round ahead, but I mean, if Aaron Jones falls to that third round turn, I'm okay with him there.
Yeah,
he's still a hyper efficient back. He's going to get 200 carries. He's going to probably see. I know there's the stats that he only did stuff when Devontae Adams was out, but I mean, Devontae Adams is the only essentially one of the only receivers there still. I mean, he kind of is. We were making fun of
Yeah.
the draft. So that's where I kind of like the spot of Aaron Jones. He might even already have an RB1 at that point.
Yeah.
And maybe he is a little boomer bust, but I mean, when he's your RB2 and he's not your RB1, that's where that's where I'm okay with targeting him right there. And that, like I said, if he falls down to that third round, if Mahomes and Lamar go, maybe another quarterback goes, and because I can see that happening in some scenarios.
Yeah, I mean, for me in the third round, this is where I really like to target a receiver. Adam Thielen is probably one of my favorite picks in this round right here. I think Adam Thielen could see 150 targets. I mean, outside of him, I'm not really threatened by Kyle Rudolph, Irv Smith. I mean, Justin Jefferson's a talented rookie out of LSU, but he's listed as the number 3 right now. You have, I think his name's like BC Johnson or something like that. He's the number 2. I'm not worried about him. And if Dalvin Cook was to go down, I feel like he's just going to get funneled a ton of targets. And, a guy who was graded as the number 1 wide receiver against man coverage, it's not a guy, we're not worried about can he get open and can he not get open. I mean, the guy he's a talented guy. So, yeah, I'd like targeting Adam Thielen right here in the third round. And then also, like I said, we did a draft the other day. I'm normally wait on quarterbacks. If you listen to this, I always say I'll grab 2 quarterbacks late and, play the matchups. But for whatever reason, Adam Thielen was gone, and I don't, these running backs were kind of sketchy. I didn't really like the value, so I kind of just took a shot on Lamar Jackson in the third here, and that's kind of where I feel like if you're gonna pull the trigger on it, you already grabbed a good running back, a good receiver, a good tight end. Maybe you grab 2 running backs. That kind of felt a little bit comfortable right there. Like, all right, I'll take a shot for the upside of grabbing a Lamar Jackson there, and now I have a set it and forget it quarterback each and every single week because I feel like the wide receiver depth in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round is there's a ton of guys there that I could grab potentially instead of reaching for a guy. Like I don't really like Odell Beckham. He's just dead to me.
Yeah, that he's a guy that I'm like fully out on.
Yeah.
I feel like he's dead to a lot of people because I know maybe we do mock drafts of people who are paying a little bit more attention than your average home player, but I mean, in some of the mock drafts, he's gone really late.
Yeah, because I've seen Odell go in like the 6th round, dude, like 7th round. It's kind of crazy.
Like, Jesus.
Like even there, I'm still like, ew, stinky. Like I'm not about it,
Yeah. I think I have Odell ranked at like 20, 21, maybe somewhere around there in my rankings. I mean, you have guys like Juju, Cooper Kupp, Calvin Ridley, Robert Woods, all those guys in the 4th round that I'm taking a shot on, and then maybe another guy that I just don't like. Amari Cooper, just a little too boomer bust for me. I mean, yeah, the guy can get you a 25, 30-point game, but a lot of games where, he disappeared. And in past 2 seasons, in weeks 15, week 16, in the playoffs, when you need him the most, the guy's just been non-existent. And for a third-round price tag, yeah, I can't have that inconsistency on my team.
Here's the thing is that there's a lot of guys like that and that's kind of how Mike Evans is too. Like if you look at total season stats, you're like, oh, he got this much fantasy points. It's amazing. It's like, well, yeah, he gets you 45 points one week, and then the next week he gets you 0 points. So you're put in a spot, and a lot of unless it's best ball or what, I can't remember the name of it. The types of leagues where it's just highest score or whatnot. Best ball, yeah. Unless it's something like that. You're gonna end up losing your record because you're starting a guy like Mike Evans or like Amari Cooper, like you're saying, and they're gonna lose you weeks, and so that's why I'm avoiding them as well, just for that reason. But I think if, like you're saying with Lamar Jackson or if Pat Mahomes and Lamar Jackson somehow fall into the 3rd round, I would almost feel obligated to go grab those, and I'm the same way. Well, I'm the same way as you, Tyler, with quarterbacks. I'll go grab a Big Ben and even like a Phillip Rivers in the last 2 rounds of the draft. So yeah, but you have to grab those 2 if they fall to you, in my opinion. Those quarterbacks.
What about DJ Moore, Anthony? I know you're like the DJ Moore. I know Dre, he's a DJ Moore guy as well. I'm a little lower on DJ Moore than I think most people. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just because the wide receiver position is so deep, and so like for me personally, if I have question marks on a player, I'm like, okay, look, I'm uncertain. Like I'll just wait a couple rounds or a round or 2 later and grab someone I feel a little more confident on. I'm not saying that he could be a bust, but I mean, do you feel comfortable right here in like the 3rd round?
It's more 4th. I mean, I haven't seen him go in the 3rd round once. Yeah. Not one mock draft I've done has he gone there. So he's at the 310, so it's not really. He's on the turn. He's on the turn. I mean, we're talking about the tier right here. I mean, I talked about We kind of went to the targets, all that. I mean, these are all guys who are essentially 130 to 150 target top. So he's right there with the target as far as all of them. I know you're not big on Teddy Bridgewater, but I'm breaking down the target share and seeing what it's what he did in 15 games last year and what he's projecting some growth in his third year in the league. And just the way the offenses kind of come out and say how they're going to feature like their playmakers and stuff like that, some other things. So like I said, I haven't seen him go once in the mock drafts in the third. I think he's more of a realistic fourth round pick. But yeah, he's in my trio of receivers that I'm targeting in the fourth round. It's DJ Moore, Calvin Ridley, and Robert Woods. So I'll make the decision there at that point on which one I'm going to go with, but he's part of that trio.
For sure. With that being said, I mean, we'll jump into the fourth round right here. So, I mean, like I said, I like to go running back heavy early because, I mean, the receivers we're going to touch on in these next rounds, 4 and 5, are just, I mean, you could literally have these guys be, I feel like there's a lot of guys you can grab in these rounds that have wide receiver 1 upside. If not, they should be safe wide receiver 2s and be consistent all year long. But, I mean, yeah, like you said, you have a couple guys you like right there. I mean, I think Juju's in store for a bounce back year. I think fourth round's a good ADP for him here. Cooper Kupp, Calvin Ridley. We're all in on the Calvin Ridley hype. Robert Woods. So yeah, just some good receivers right there. Yeah, I like taking those receivers. I mean, I'm probably fading Mark Mostert. I think Mostert right here in the fourth round. It's kind of a high ADP.
You're fading him, or you like him? You said.
Fading Mostert.
Oh, okay.
I
was confused.
Yeah. I just, I think that could still be a running back by committee, kind of a hot hand approach. I mean, Tevin Coleman was kind of banged up. Still kind of one of Kyle Shanahan's guys, Tevin Coleman, from their days back in Atlanta. So, we might see a couple Tevin Coleman games here. I mean, for whatever reason, Jerick McKinnon might get it in the mix. You never know. So, yeah, Mostert would be a guy that I don't really like here. I like these receivers in this round.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're dropping down a little more, the DJ Chark, I don't even AJ Brown. I don't mind because the upside's there of what he could do potentially. So I'm not even mad at you there. Like you said, fourth round. I think I've taken a receiver in every mock draft. Yeah. I haven't personally touched Mostert or Gordon or Ingram. Cam Akers is kind of sneaking higher in Singletary and some of these ADPs, but I think when we've done them, they've kind of this is that area there.
Yeah, I think DJ Chark. I'm not sure what the odds are, but I think he could be like a sneaky guy to lead the league in receiving yards with how bad that Jaguars defense could be.
I was literally about to say that.
And I mean, Minshew and him obviously had the rapport. We saw that one year Blake Bortles was throwing the ball to Allen Robinson, put up 1,400 yards. I mean, is it out of the realm of possibility that DJ Chark could put up something similar like that, where you're getting a lot of junk time, garbage time points, but I mean the garbage time points or garbage time yards or fantasy points, it doesn't matter when you're getting them. They count on my score.
He would need to see a jump in his average catches per his catch average. The reason Allen Robinson was able to do that is because I think he was something stupid like 16 or 17 yards per catch. So that adds up to a lot higher of a yardage total. So he would need a little bit of a jump in order that to happen. But I said targets are going to go, I think, possibly away from the running back position and potentially to the receiver position a little more. It wouldn't surprise me if he got 1,300. I don't know if he could see it's not out of the realm of possibility for him to take that Allen Robinson type of 150, 160 target, but I'd put it under like a 3% chance. Yeah. Could it happen? Yeah, anything could happen. We can't predict the future, but I'd say somewhat lower percentage. But I do like DJ Chark. I mean, even the touchdown upside is there, just to touch on that too. I mean, 8 touchdowns last year. I think he missed 2 games, I believe, right? I know he missed I want to say a game or 2. So, yeah. I mean, and some of that touchdown we had, what was his name, Nick Foles play. So, like, when Bortles was there, that touchdown on a per-game basis was even higher. Not Bortles, Minshew, that's what I meant, sorry. Yeah. It was even higher than it was with...
I was like, Bortles.
Bortles. It was even higher than it was with Nick Foles.
Yeah. I mean, Nick Foles was early out, but I don't know. I think the game script wise, I think DJ Chark can be super sneaky, but I mean, I love Cam Akers though. I went early and grabbed Cam Akers. Actually, I think I went 301 or 3, not 301. Oh yeah.
You went like in the tail. You're on the 12th pick, so you were the third, fourth round. So
I was in a situation where I love Cam Akers this year, so I was really trying to target him, and I knew it wasn't going to come back around. So I jumped a little bit early on Cam Akers. So if I can grab him at this ADP here, what is that, 409? I'm totally with that. So yeah, I love Cam Akers, but there's all these receivers I'm not mad at all. Allen Robinson, I'm not mad at. Juju is in the what are we at, 4th round? I'm super with that. Because that's where remember we were talking about Juju before. That's where I'm okay. I'm super down to grab him there. But it seemed like he was going. I mean, in the draft we had done, he was going like early 3rd. I think he went. So, but yeah, I mean, all these receivers sound super good to me.
A lot of depth at the wide receiver position right here.
Yeah.
I mean, you see Mark Andrews going off in the 4th round. I'm sure Ertz is going to be the next guy going off in the 5th round. If you miss on a Kittle or a Kelsey in that tail end of the 2nd round, potentially a 3rd round, is this an area where you start to look at it in Andrews or an Ertz in the 4th, 5th round?
If I'm 2-2, I don't mind it.
Yeah.
Like if I've got 2 running backs and 2 receivers, or even 3 running backs, maybe 1 receiver, because I still think there's some depth right there in the.
So that would be 5th round.
Yeah, well, yeah, 5th round. I'd probably go. I'm okay with it there. I'm more so on the Zach Ertz target than I am the Mark Andrews, because I think he's pushing more. From what I've seen, he's been more 4th rounds than some of the mocks I've been doing, and I'm trying to get. I like the receivers there too much to go with him.
Yeah,
just to say the least. I'm not mad if you do it, but there's certainly, for me personally, the receivers right there are the ones I'm targeting instead of Mark Andrews.
Like a Woods, a Ridley.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm kind of with Anthony on that. I'm after George Kittle and Travis Kelce. I'm not targeting a tight end until those later rounds and grabbing some of the sleepers that we talked about, like Jonnu Smith or Gesicki or some of these other guys. I'm trying to grab those guys at towards the end. Maybe grab 2 of them and then see if one works out. Might be streaming a tight end, but I'm okay with that. I don't want to have a situation where I end up having to stream a tight end and I use my 4th round pick on a Mark Andrews. But Mark Andrews is still really good. I know I'm not hating on him, but
yeah,
that's just my personal my game plan for my draft. Game plan for my draft.
Offense.
For sure. We can jump into the 5th round then right here.
Yeah, let's do it. What is that, 48?
48, first 48.
48.
Or 50. Or 48, I guess.
50.
5th round.
Or
give
51.
me all the Cam Akers.
11-man
we
league.
just talked about him.
Yeah, if Cam Akers is in the 5th round, I think I like the upside of him in the 5th round right there. The 4th round, I think I'm kind of favoring Anthony's side right there. The receiver value is pretty nice right there. But if Cam Akers falls to the 5th round, I think, especially if you only have one running back potentially, you need some upside. I do like Cam Akers right there. Who in the 5th round do you like right now? Who are you fading?
I say if Singletary's there in the 5th, I'm not mad at taking him there, especially if you have one running back for some reason. You went a quarterback and a tight end. I mean, he's going to see some type of workload. I know we've kind of questioned the potential touchdown upside, but we don't know who the goal line back's going to be. Some people are saying Zach Moss be him. I've always argued that he was a hyper efficient back. So these guys don't struggle in the red zone. Whether it's Zach Moss or him, it's he's going to do. If he gets the opportunity, he's going to get things done in the red zone. I still believe that he's going to be the leader of the timeshare for the full season.
Are you concerned? A lot of reports out of camp are that he's having fumbling issues, and they think that potentially he could lose instead of like a running back by committee. He could kind of take a seat back and be like the second string running back pretty much, and Zach Moss could leapfrog him due to the fumbling issues.
Not necessarily, because I mean, there's been reports of running backs having issues with fumble. Even some of these rookies come in and they're like, oh, they're having problems holding on to the ball, but I've never really seen it affect the in-season too much. For the most part, I'm trying to think. I mean, you even had Chris Carson last year, who was a fumbling machine, and they kept going back to him. So I'm not saying he's what's his name, the head coach. I'm not saying he's Pete Carroll.
Sean McDermott.
Yeah, so I'm not saying he's Pete Carroll and he's going to keep giving him the rock no matter what, but I'm not necessarily too worried for it. Practice is practice, games are games.
Yeah, I mean, I think fumbling's an issue that you can easily resolve. I mean, if the guy just wasn't talented, that would be more a little alarming. I mean, obviously, like we said, he's hyper efficient, he's electric. And in games, I think Zach Moss is just going to be what Frank Gore was last year. There's a ton of games where Frank Gore still saw 10-plus carries, and Devin Singletary still had good games for you right there. So yeah, I like Singletary too.
And the Bills could be contenders. I mean, they have a good defense and they have potentially a really good offense. They could be blowing teams up more than, or beating up some teams more than we are kind of thinking, and it could lead to both these guys having more carries.
They have a little Mark Ingram, Alvin Kamara year, huh? Oh, draft both of them. What do you guys think about some of these receivers? Like, because obviously we talked about DJ Chark. I'm not mad at taking it in the 4th round, but in the 5th round, I think I'm with it. But these guys like these 2 Seattle receivers are there, DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. I don't know how I feel about them. I don't really like Terry McLaurin just because of who's throwing him the ball.
Could be Alex Smith.
Could be, but even then, he's got half a leg, so
it might still be better.
Actually, he has 1.5 legs.
Might still be better than
rude
Dwayne
of me
Haskins.
to say. Yeah, honestly, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with you. I think McLaurin's super talented, but for the tier of receivers that he's in, like I'd rather take the upside of a Chark or Metcalf or even like the safety of a Tyler Lockett with his chemistry with Russell Wilson over there in Seattle.
I mean, even like if I somehow grab T.Y. Hilton in the tail end of the 5th round, oh my God. I like it. Phillip Rivers is, he's a passing quarterback. He's got a really good O-line, possibly the best in the league. I mean, I've switched it up. I'm trying to target T.Y. Hilton in a lot of leagues, and then if I can't get him, maybe target those other guys like Michael Pittman Jr. or Paris Campbell in these later rounds. But I like T.Y. Hilton. But these other wide receivers, I don't know how. I like Keenan Allen too, but.
Yeah, so some good receivers. Like I said, we're in 4th, 5th, 6th round. There's going to be a lot of good receivers. I mean, this is kind of where I like Zach Ertz, honestly. Like Anthony said, if you have 2 running backs, two wide receivers, or, you're feeling pretty good about your roster construction, maybe you've got 3 running backs, 1 receiver, maybe even go like 2 running backs, a tight end, or probably not a tight end. But I like Ertz a lot right here in the 5th round because, I mean, there's only a handful of tight ends where they're pretty much the wide receiver 1 of their offense, where the offense moves through the air through them. And you already have Alshon Jeffrey. He's probably going to be on the PUP list with his foot. Jalen Reagor, he's got something wrong with his shoulder, torn labrum. These other rookies aren't anything that, to bat an eye at. And, obviously you have Deshaun Jackson there who's talented, but he's, a field stretcher. And, he obviously hasn't been the model of health either. So if he was to go down, I mean, you could see another year where you're getting a heavy workload from Zach Ertz. So I think the 5th round would be a good little area right here if this is kind of where you wanted to grab a tight end. Yeah,
I will say that I know he's the last round guy, but Robert Woods has filled in the 5th round plenty of drafts.
Yeah, I grabbed Robert Woods in the 5th round. I'm humble bragging right now, but I got Calvin Ridley in the 4th and Robert Woods in the 5th, and I was pretty mucho happy.
Yeah, what league was that?
The Marquee League.
Oh.
I was drafting, dude, and I was just like, wait, these guys are here? You guys are going to let me get these players?
Why is everyone so fucking stupid?
I'm just kidding.
We can only play that when we're talking about CJ.
Yeah. For sure. One player that I don't like right here, and I think, this is obviously probably going to change due to the Fournette signing, but Ronald Jones in the 5th, even Ronald Jones in the 6th, I don't like it anymore. I might even just be fading this backfield as a whole now.
Yeah, we went from, maybe a Buccaneers running back could be worth something this year to, back to the Buccaneers running back situation. Too many people. I don't understand if it's going to be Ronald Jones going to actually show up. I'm with you, dude. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm same way.
I'm glad Leonard Fournette, because I had drafted him in another league. I'm glad he landed somewhere. But, yeah, I'm not targeting.
Can I just say something, though, too, before we jump to the next round?
Oh, my God. Don't bring this up again.
Just a scenario, dude, where you're in the 5th round and you get DJ Chark as your 3rd receiver. Money, dude.
Or Robert
in
Woods.
The 5th round?
Or Robert Woods, yeah.
I don't think you're going to. I mean, guess what I did in our league? You want to talk some shit about the Marquee League and how well you did. Guess who I got in the 5th round?
Tell him.
Keenan Allen and Allen Robinson on the turn.
Money.
What was that, 5th, 6th? So 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. Yeah, 5th, 6th. I got Keenan Allen and Allen Robinson. And that right there is what we call horny, baby. Okay?
Yeah, I mean, Keenan Allen's value's got to jump up with the news of Mike Williams not being there. And like I said, they just paid that guy a lot of money. I mean, one of the best route runners in the league. So get him in the 5th round, or like you said, if he falls to the 6th round, I think you're going to get some good value right there. Especially in PPR, you think he would be able to give you a safe floor each and every week.
Do you think Justin Herbert's going to start? I'm just curious.
They said Tyrod Taylor's going to be the starter.
Do you think he's going to start? Like, what part of the year do you think he's going to start, if any part?
I mean, I would guess if they're winning, because they have a pretty good defense still. If they're winning with Tyrod, I would say you don't fix something that's not broken. But, you know, if
Yeah.
they start off a little rocky, they're 3-5, you know,
Yeah.
then maybe they're like, okay, maybe we can throw the rookie in there and see what things are. But I think if they're winning and they're doing good, I don't think that they rush Herbert into the system at all.
Interesting.
Yeah, I would say at the best case scenario, it's probably right around week 6. And I remember looking at the schedule. I'm trying to pull it up right now. They have, believe they have a pretty favorable schedule to start the year, so that can make that even longer potentially.
All right. No, are you guys grabbing a Dak Prescott in the 5th round? Because I'm not.
I don't think I'm wasting a 5th round pick on a quarterback. There's too much talent. You know, like even Tyler said to the fact of getting a Zach Ertz potentially, or if Mark Andrews felt, or some of these receivers that are still there. And you still have you have Russell Wilson behind him, Kyler Murray. There's still guys I like that if they slip potentially, I'll try and jump on them. Maybe even which is say a round or say 2 rounds later.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm not grabbing a Mahomes or a Lamar for the value in the 3rd round, because like I said, those running backs weren't really attractive to me right there, and the wide receiver depth is so deep. I think I'm probably going to wait a little bit later to grab a quarterback.
Yeah, I'm good on that. But yeah, interesting. Are you touching Marquise Brown in the 5th round, or David Montgomery in the 5th round?
I mean, they're 5th, 6th round picks. I think I'm more okay with taking Marquise Brown in the 6th round than I am the 5th.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
I like the upside, but I'd have to, if it's early to mid 5th, I'm probably not going there. If he's there in the 6th, early to mid 6th, then I'm okay with it. Which I think is kind of gonna be the case probably more often than not.
Yeah, I mean, before the injury happened to David Montgomery with the groin injury, he was probably my favorite 5th round target. In a lot of mock drafts, I was aiming to get him because it gave me the liberty to, you know, like I said, I like to go running back, and you know, if I go running back in the 1st round, then when I get to David Montgomery in the 5th round, a lot of times he was my RB2 at the worst, or RB2 or RB3 at the worst. Obviously the groin injury happens, so he's kind of sliding to that 6th round. So he there's a guy where in the 6th round I'm targeting David Montgomery. I mean, it just has to speak volume that obviously he hurts the groin injury, but I mean, you know, they don't have anyone behind him really. Obviously Tariq Cohen, but he's more of a, you know, a gadget kind of scat back, you know, catching passes, smaller running back. But you know, I guess when they asked him about potentially trying to get Leonard Fournette, you know, Matt Nagy shot it down right away. He said, you know, we have zero interest in Fournette. So they have all the confidence in David Montgomery to be the guy. We kind of said once the Washington football team released AP that, you know, maybe he could potentially go to the Bears and be the backup for Montgomery. If they don't sign AP, it just gives me even more confidence that they're feeling good about David Montgomery and his ability to be healthy, you know, and that the groin injury is kind of just, you know, precautionary and they're just, you know, being safe with him. I mean, there's a guy he's gonna see, if he plays the full 16 games, he's gonna see 250, 270 touches.
Yeah,
you know,
he's going to get 225 and 30 to 40 potentially.
Yeah. And I think last year was kind of what his floor was. So I think he'd be a good running back too for you. And like I said, even potentially an RB3 as a depth move right there. And, you know, in the 6th round, he's probably a guy I really like to target right there.
Yeah, if you don't have to play, the other thing I like about him falling into I'm not big on David Montgomery's talent, but I won't deny volume. I've always said that. I'm like, I don't give a shit. If someone's going to touch the ball 250, 275 times, I don't care, because there's a point where it's well worth the value. And if he's your RB3 and you don't have to play the game, is he going to be ready for week 1? Is he not? Is he going to be limited at first? You can kind of sit back and bench him for a few weeks. It doesn't hurt to be able to get a running back as a starting running back in the 6th round, because as you can see how we keep saying in this 4th, 5th, 6th round, we're like, I don't want to touch some of these guys because there's either a timeshare or some issues with that. We're talking about, you know, Ronald Jones, you know, like you said, there's not really much behind him. So if you're able to bench him for a week or two because of the injury, he's not ready, and then you have a starting running back as your RB3, I love that scenario.
For sure. Who else is in the 6th round right here, Mike? I'm going to slide that up for us, baby.
Slide in. So some of these are actually some of their ADPs are sorry, got distracted.
You got David Montgomery, like we said, if he falls to the 6th, just some running backs that are around him. I mean, just tell me who you would potentially rather have over him. You have Kareem Hunt, you have Ronald Jones, David Montgomery, DeAndre Swift, J.K. Dobbins. This is where the Antonio Gibson kind of jumps into play. would you put Montgomery ahead of all those guys? Are you taking like the upside of a Swift or a J.K. Dobbins potentially? Antonio Gibson now.
I'm actually, you know what? I'm huge on Antonio Gibson now because I had an epiphany. You know what my epiphany is?
What was it?
Is they say Antonio Gibson could do it all, right?
Yep.
Who's the coach in Washington right now?
Ron Rivera.
Guess who Ron Rivera used to coach?
Christian McCaffrey.
And that's what I'm saying, baby. I'm fucking all in on Antonio Gibson.
There was no fucking flub.
Dude, I connected the dots. I put like yarn and thumbtacks in my room, dude, and I realized it. And I'm all about Antonio Gibson especially after Adrian Peterson left. I'm targeting him in a lot of drafts. So yeah, I'm not mad at that. If I have to jump on the 6th round, that's like he's going to start moving up, and there's going to be a lot of hype train, especially when all the listeners listen to this podcast and the fucking value skyrockets, baby.
And they all get yarn and
then they connect the dots, dude. I'm like Sherlock Holmes when it comes to fantasy football, honestly. That's actually what they call me on the streets. They're like, hey, Sherlock, you know everything. I'm like, dude, I know. Anyways, but yeah, I love Antonio Gibson. I would actually take him over J.K. Dobbins. Maybe not DeAndre Swift though. Actually, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I would take him over J.K. Dobbins as well.
When your quarterback is the most rushing quarterback of all time, I'm good on drafting the running back behind there, especially when there's still what's his name is still there.
Mark Ingram.
Yeah, Mark Ingram's still there. So that's why I'm avoiding him a little bit. You can make the case for DeAndre Swift if he falls into the 6th round. It's just like Detroit doesn't.
It's just so tricky to me because it's like, I know Kerryon's like becoming bionic with his knee and all that, but it's he's not going to go. I don't think he's not going to go completely away. He's still going to be involved.
And here's another thing.
The Lions have never really had, not I don't say never, but it's been so long since they've had a good ground game and a productive running back that
they haven't. It's like that's just not the way they play.
And I know he's super talented, so it's, you could take talent into the factor, but he's kind of a hard one for me to put the dots and the yarn together on.
No, but I mean, it's just like That's what my problem is with DeAndre Swift. I was kind of upset that he went to Detroit because it's like you're saying, traditionally not a rushing team. Traditionally, Matt Stafford's like a really good passing quarterback. He's and then also you still, like you said, you still have Kerryon Johnson there. So yeah, I'm with you, dude.
Yeah, I do agree with you, Mike. I think this is a good spot to take a shot at Antonio Gibson.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy is talented. He's a big body guy. He can line up outside in the slot, potentially. And I know there's been a lot of Bryce Love chirp, but we did this segment on it in the last episode of how the coaches said, in a couple of months he could be really good and back to where he was in college. And I was joking around saying, well, in a couple of months the season's gonna be fucking over, so that doesn't really help me, And then Peyton Barber obviously is kind of a bruiser like AP. And then J.D. McKissick, kind of a Chris Thompson, kind of a scat back. He'll be utilized in third down in passing situations.
Yeah. And with those guys behind Antonio Gibson, it's like you've seen where they've been at. You know what I mean? Besides Bryce Love, obviously, but you don't know what Antonio Gibson could be in the NFL. You could be fucking blowing it, and this could all be a bust. But you definitely have the upside, man.
I mean, someone made a little comparison.
To Christian McCaffrey?
Not to Christian McCaffrey, but to a Kareem Hunt. A guy who came in as a rookie year. A guy. Kareem Hunt's a big guy like him as well, but he's a good pass catching back. But a good running back as well. So they were kind of comparing him to a Kareem Hunt. The guy was kind of saying that he thinks that Gibson could be like this year's Kareem Hunt, like a rookie that most people don't know about, but should see a good amount of work and just a talented kid.
Yeah, and then there's just like the unknown upside. I mean, you get into some of these running backs behind. I mean, I guess you could say Swift might have some unknown upside, but the Marlon Mack, he's going to be in a timeshare. Jordan Howard going to be in a timeshare. Even deeper to Zach Moss and Phillip Lindsay, they're all going to be timeshare guys. Where it's like he has this is what I always look for, is like who has a potential to just take over a backfield, or who has the potential. Could it happen? Maybe not. But if it does, it's potential for you to have a potential, let's just say RB2. I don't think you can get to one because the offense isn't going to be good enough, but it's potential to be a weekly RB3, RB2.
I mean,
And maybe even a consistent RB2, if he's able to stay consistent as a pass catcher.
Yeah.
And you can't find too many of that opportunities without injury when you start to get to these rounds.
Look, Terry McLaurin is also on the same team, and he showed up and was fantasy relevant last year, and nobody drafted him. It's not to say just because a team's bad doesn't mean that someone might not show up and do well.
No, that's no. I just meant it limits his upside because the scoring opportunities aren't going to be.
No. I'm
okay. I see your point.
You.
You're saying that don't not draft him just because he's not on a good team.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you.
No,
sorry.
I'm agreeing with you. Yeah.
Okay.
Is there anyone that you don't like in this round?
I don't think I'm going to target Marlon Mack in anything.
Yeah, Marlon Mack. I can't even believe he's going in the 6th round of ADPs. Is that even accurate?
I'm not mad at. I'm not mad at some of these guys. Like, say if I stacked up, I'm honestly at that. Antonio Gibson's my guy. I'm not going for Stephon Diggs. I don't think. I just don't know how it's going to go in Buffalo. I'd rather take a swing on like a John Brown in these later rounds, because he was just. He did make somewhat of a connection with Josh Allen. He was pretty fantasy relevant last year. And if I'm going to pay for a Buffalo Bills wide receiver, especially with Josh Allen throwing the ball, I'm going to pay for the cheaper one. You know what I mean? So, yeah, besides that, I do like Kyler Murray, but I don't like him there. I'm not trying to take Kyler Murray in an earlier round when I can grab just as good of a quarterback in these later rounds.
Yeah, and then I'm fine with Devontae Parker here in the 6th, 7th round. We talked about it in depth. Do we go in depth out there or on there about the Preston? Was that a?
Yeah, we talked about it.
Okay, I couldn't remember if we did it.
We've talked about every single player.
Yeah.
For sure.
That is true. Well, I do like Preston Williams as well. Devontae Parker kind of finally had that year to where he showed up as the draft pick he was supposed to be. And when you're getting into the 6th, 7th round, even if he does see, let's just say he's more of a 130 target guy, and that stretch of 10 games was a fluke, let's say, you're getting him so late that I think he's almost a value where he's at. And if he does see 140, 150 targets for some reason, let's just say he dominates the target share potentially, because we did lose Allen Hurns, we did lose some of the other receivers. I can't think off head right now.
You lost Galen Balaj.
He's back.
Actually, oh yeah, he is back today.
Because he failed the physical. I like Devontae Parker there.
For sure. I think a guy who I'm not grabbing in the 6th round here, it's Will Fuller. I think the guy's super talented. Obviously he's got a potential to put up a 50 burger any given week, but the injury concerns are alarming to me. And actually, in all actuality, I'm going to be grabbing the guy who's, his ADP's in the 7th round, but I'm grabbing Brandon Cooks in the 6th round because I think he's going to eventually, or he will be the wide receiver one for the Texans right there. So I'll be grabbing Cooks in the 6th round.
Wait,
fading Will Fuller.
Say they're both there at 6th round. You're taking Brandon Cooks?
I'm taking Brandon Cooks, yeah.
Dude, you're all in. That's what I like about you.
I know there's been some reports kind of coming out saying they've been doing like a load management for Brandon Cooks. They don't want him to, with his concussions and stuff like that. But, when the season starts, there's no load management. It's like, hey, bro, is he the most talented receiver on the field? You could argue it's him and Fuller, but, Cobb's on the tail end of his career. Kenny Stills is, he's a savvy veteran, but, he's not an explosive playmaker. Brandon Cooks, 1,000 yards, 4 straight years, multiple systems, minus last year, where he got banged up, Deshaun Watson just got paid 4 years, $160 million, and if there's a scenario where Will Fuller goes down, which we've seen multiple times over multiple years, that's just even more targets that are potentially going to go Brandon Cooks' way. So yeah, I think Brandon Cooks is one of the better values in the draft, and this motherfucker better not tank it because I've been on the Brandon Cooks train.
Probably we're gonna have a lot of.
I think as long as he doesn't get concussed, he's gonna be.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard for him to outperform or underperform the 7th round ADP he has, as long as he doesn't get concussed. If he does get concussed,
we've prefaced every time we've talked about him. We've prefaced with that is that he does have the concussion downside, but he has the 1,000 yards per season upside. So. Where are we at on number wise?
We're going into the 7th round.
So no, right, but what would that be?
74.
Okay, yes, of course.
Where it says 701.
Where does it say that?
On the left.
Right next to 74.
Did you not notice that?
Oh my God, I did not. That makes my life so much easier.
He's been asking.
Dude, it's because I'm like reading right here, and I'm like reading. Oh my God. Okay.
I was like, Where's the 5th round? Where I'm like, where, in my head, I'm like, where it says 5.01.
So like I said, I'm fading Will Fuller in the 6th round, and I'm actually drafting Brandon Cooks right there in the 6th round. Brandon Cooks ADP right here is at the 7th, in the middle of the 7th round. But I mean, if there's a scenario where I grab Brandon Cooks in the 6th round, and now it comes to me in the 7th round, a guy I love grabbing right here is Tyler Boyd. I mean, especially you're in PPR. I mean, they already Burrow come out. I know
because that's your name.
The quarterback's going to say this, but he's said he's got a really good connection with Tyler Boyd. Knock on wood, AJ Green's already been dealing with kind of little minor injuries here and there and stuff like that. But I think this Bengals defense is going to be really bad, and they're going to have to be slinging the rock a lot. So that's just more. Burrow could potentially 550, 600 pass attempts, and I know Dre was here. He could touch on the numbers, but when AJ Green's on the field, Tyler Boyd is better with AJ Green on the field. So yeah, I love Tyler Boyd right here in the 7th round.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a 1,000-yard receiver for 2 years in a row. Sometimes that AJ Green thing is kind of skewed to me because he played with quarterbacks that were, I mean, who did he have throwing him the ball last year? It wasn't anything special. But the reason I do like him is because I'm kind of out on AJ Green with all the injuries over the years. I mean, could he be the same player? I don't know that he is. But if Joe Burrow comes out, these rookies nowadays, with the way the NFL has changed, can throw for, 4,000 yards, 4,300. That used to be out of the norm. So I think he's going to be the one as far as targets. That's my personal opinion. I would take him over AJ Green. And if you're getting a 1,000-yard receiver, someone who's going to maybe cut 90 balls last year, kind of a high 150 targets, he might not get there again, but it's in the realm of possibility. No, I like the Tyler Boyd pick.
These running backs get ugly in this round. I'm looking at we got like James White and
nice to say.
Towards the end, and Phillip Lindsay, Kerryon Johnson. The only one I'm looking at that I'm not mad at taking a upside on is Zach Moss. I mean, Jordan Howard, that's gross.
Oh, chill, dude. One thing I can say with Jordan Howard is I'm not sure if the 7th round is a little too rich. Maybe the 8th round might be a little more appropriate, or just depending on how your roster construction is. Maybe you don't want to miss out on him. But I think Jordan Howard's kind of being slept on. I mean, a guy where Breida, bionic man, he'll tear his ACL in the first quarter. You'll get a little alert on Sleeper Bot. Breida's down, carted off, and then the next Breida's back in the game, 60-yard run. But Breida's never been a high touch kind of guy. He'll get you 10, 12 touches maybe, on a good day. But I think there's a scenario where you see Jordan Howard get, kind of like a poor man's David Montgomery, where, he could see 200-plus touches, 225 touches, and then, who's going to get the goal line carries? Jordan Howard or Matt Breida's little ass. I think Jordan Howard's going to be the ball. I think this Miami Dolphins offense is going to be a lot better than what it was last year. Offensive line should be a lot better. They addressed that in free agency and the draft. So, yeah, I think Jordan Howard is going to be a guy where, not the sexiest name, but a guy who could be like a low-end RB2, or let's say you stack up on a couple other positions and you kind of just need an RB2 just to fill in that second running back slot for you, a guy who can get you 15 touches a game with some touchdown upside each and every single week. I think that's what Jordan Howard's going to bring to the table.
I mean, Miami's had running backs put up huge numbers. Remember Jay Ajayi? You guys would throw him so much touches or so many touches, and I mean, he had 2 300-yard games back to back. So it's like, Jordan Howard. I think Matt Breida did so well in San Francisco, but they were kind of like a huge rushing team, and they had it was almost like a committee. It's like, okay, this person's going to run the ball. Now you get to run the ball. Now you get to run the ball. Versus, I think Miami kind of like sticks with I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. We'll stick with more of a true running back. You know what I mean? Like a true RB1.
I mean, Miami was pretty bad last year. We didn't really have a running back once we traded Drake away. I mean, Clayton Balaj is terrible. Patrick Lard is I don't even know if he'll be in the league after next year, to be honest with you. No offense to him. But, yeah, I think Jordan Howard's kind of a sneaky later round value if you're kind of doing like a 0 RB strategy, or, maybe you just want to stack up on some running back depth.
I think Ryan Fitzpatrick last year was like – oh, yeah, Miami was like, all right, we're tanking for Tua. And then Ryan Fitzpatrick's like, no, we're not. He's like, throw the ball. He's like, all right, well, have fun not being able to run at all. We'll see you, Kenny and Drake, and they got rid of him.
I mean, what do you think about this, Anthony? Obviously, we're Dolphins fans. We go out and get Jordan Howard in free agency. We get Breida in a trade on draft day. But we didn't draft any running backs. So it's kind of like they're kind of all in on Jordan Howard for this season at least. I think next year, we have 4 picks in the first 2 rounds. So I think we go get a running back. But for how deep the running back class was, I mean, you have Clyde Edwards, Jonathan Taylor, Cam Akers, Antonio Gibson, all these running backs. We didn't go out and get anybody. So, I mean, does that mean something?
Not necessarily. We were in a full rebuild, so it's they might have just saw the value at a running back in a certain spot and or thought after maybe the 4th or 5th round they just didn't like anyone. So for me, not really. To me, I'm probably out on both of them. If I will take one, it's Burita because he's going a couple rounds later. Yeah. Jordan Howard, we've just seen, kind of Mike brought up a minute ago, is we know who he is. Is he a decent runner on the ground? Yeah, he's ran for 1,500, not 1,500 yards, but he might have ran for 1,500. His rookie year.
Back-to-back years, he had, I think it was 1,100 plus rushing yards.
I forget what he had that year.
Rookie
but anyways, so he's a decent ball carrier, but what he is not is a pass catcher.
Yeah.
So I don't think Miami, when you go to the analytical part of this, is going to be in the top 10 in rushing. I think they're going to be in the bottom 10. So now, do I want a piece of a timeshare where 2 running backs are going to be splitting work that's on the bottom 10? So for me, it's no, because he offers no pass catching upside. If he offered at least something in the pass catching area, I'd be okay with it. But there might be a lot of weeks where he's getting 10 for 45 and no touchdowns with no receptions. So for me, I don't like that. Versus where Matt Burita, would it surprise me if he maybe gets close to 50 catches, because the running back position is going to have to get some targets in some of these receptions. And at least I have some kind of weekly safety there. And he's been a very explosive player, so he might be a potentially somewhat not hyper efficient, but efficient, like PPR type of low end back that you're getting in the 8th to 9th round.
Yeah.
And the last point I was going to make, but it just went straight through me. I forgot. Oh, the offensive line. It was the worst offensive line that I think almost ever has been put on the field. Literally, Pro Football Focus had it rated like 20 points behind anybody. We did make some moves with the rookies and paying, what's his name from the Redskins, the offensive lineman. The rookies reportedly have looked good in camp, so that could help change this offensive running game, but there's no guarantee that this line isn't as bad as it was last year, which would hurt both running backs. So I'm probably staying away from both, especially in the 7th round for me personally.
By the way, Jordan Howard had a total scrimmage yards of 1,696, I think, in his rookie year with the Bears. So
Bears.
But since then, that has not happened again.
What about this? You got a couple tight ends coming off in the 7th round. You got Gronkowski, Evan Ingram, and Hayden Hurst. You know me, I'm all on the Hayden Hurst train. I think if you don't have a tight end to this point, I think the upside of what Hayden Hurst could be. I love Hayden Hurst, so I think like 7th, 8th round is a good area to pull the trigger on a guy like Hayden Hurst. And I'd rather have Hayden Hurst over Gronk and Evan Ingram personally.
I mean, Evan Ingram just can't stay healthy, so I'm not going with that. Rob Gronkowski's he old, and there's O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate there, so I'm good on that. I might take a swing on Hayden Hurst, but he still hasn't been proven yet, and I do think he'll do well this year, but I don't know if I'm gonna. I think it's a little too early for me. Where, like I said earlier, is I'll grab a Mike Gesicki or a Jonnu Smith.
Yeah, I mean he's still too. I'm kind of with you. The thing I liked about him is you were getting him 9th, 10th round. If it's going in the 7th, like I said to Mike's point, I said we haven't seen it yet. He was let go by the Ravens basically had him last year as their tight end 3. So we don't know what he's going to be with the full-time role yet. So there's a question mark. Well, I love the upside 100%. I think I've taken him in majority of our mock drafts we've done personally. Evan Ingram, when healthy, has proven that he could be one of the best tight ends in the game. So it's when they're that close together, if I'm going to touch one of these guys there, I'd rather go with Evan Ingram there. Personally, but if he falls a little bit later, maybe a round later or even into the 9th, then that's where I jump on him 100%. I'm not even mad at in the 8th if I'm in the back end of the 8th.
Yeah, I think the 8th is a little I mean, he's at the tail end of the 7th round on the ADPs right here. I think I got him in I have him in 2 drafts. I got him in the 8th round in both drafts.
Yeah.
So
see, I'm okay with more of that.
I think a guy I'm fading in the 7th round is Kerryon Johnson. If he's in the 7th round, there's no way I'm taking Kerryon Johnson. I'll have 0 shares of Kerryon Johnson.
Yeah. That's a surprising ADP, to be honest.
Yeah. Even in the 9th or in the 8th round or 9th round, I don't think I would touch him. But I keep sneezing. Okay, we can move on to the 8th round, maybe.
At least you're not clearing your throat.
Dude, it really, when Andre's on this podcast, it sounds like he took a cup of sand and just was like, glug, 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 started the podcast. All right, let's go on to the 8th round here. It starts us off with James White. I'm not mad at that. I mean, I feel like running back upside, I'm with it. Dang, we got Leonard Fournette in the 8th round now. And he's updated. I took him much too early.
When he was
in Jacksonville.
you could have got him in the 8th. You took him in the 3rd.
Don't even talk about it. All right.
Maybe 4th.
Yeah, 4th. But, I mean, who's the guy you love in this 8th round here?
There's the guarantees of I kind of like Jarvis Landry. I mean, you know what you're going to get from him. I know I predict it to be a little bit more run heavy than it has been in Cleveland, at least. I predict it to be more run heavy, but you know what you're getting here with Jarvis Landry. I mean, even Julian Edelman, I feel like he at PPR specifically might be going too low because he's going to be the leader on that team in targets.
Yeah.
Cam can get it done for him. So I like those two guys if they're there in the 8th. Then you kind of come into these other guys who have Debo and Deontay Johnson that are going there. I don't mind those either. So and then Marvin Jones, you know what you get with Marvin Jones. You could take him there too.
Yeah, I think this is a good receiver round right here. I mean, the receivers and their upside compared to the running backs of, Cohen and Breeder and timeshares. Madison needs an injury to be relevant. Fournette, question marks. Murray, kind of, timeshare, needs an injury to be relevant. James White, is probably the better one of all the running backs there. But yeah, I think all these receivers, the upside they have, you know me, I'm a big Juice fan, so it'd be Jarvis Landry all day, every day. But I think Deebo Samuel's being a little slept on. I mean, all the reports are that he's going to be ready to go for week 1. And for whatever reason, the Niners have just had the worst luck in terms of their wide receivers and being able to stay healthy. I mean, the rookie Brandon Ayuk, he's banged up. They go out and I think it's Jalen Hurd. He tore his ACL, a rookie from last year. I think he's out of Baylor. He's coming into his second year. He's out. They go out and they sign 2 veterans, Tavon Austin and J.J. Nelson off the street to bring into training camp. Both of those guys got hurt in training camp. So there's just no pass catchers there outside of George Kittle, who could just have 160 targets. And then, Deebo Samuel looking like he's going to be healthy and ready for week 1. I think if he was healthy, where do you think Deebo would be going? Obviously, he's 8th round right now with the injury. But if he was healthy, do you think he'd be in like that 5th round price tag area with the DJ Charks,
I wouldn't
T.Y.
have
Hilton?
taken him there if he was not enough week-to-week target volume.
Like 6th round potentially then?
It's hard to remember where he was. I think he was actually going not too far. Is it ahead? If we're going to the 7th and 6th?
Yeah.
I think he was kind of in that 6th to 7th round cusp before the ankle injury. Ankle, right?
His ankle hurts.
His ankle hurts. Before the injury. So, but everything you just pointed out, I mean, I don't mind it where the price tag is. So early on in the season, I didn't. It was too high of a price tag for me. When you're a team that runs the ball that much, and they did have some healthier weapons as well. I don't like when you go to look at his game log when you're seeing 4, 5, 6, 4, 3. I don't like that when it was 6th or 7th round. But when it's 8th or 9th round and the potential for growth, then I'm cool with that because there is some upside there. So where he's going now, I kind of feel like you get a discount, and it's making it. It's making him closer to potential value.
Yeah. So like I said, I like these receivers here. Like I said, you got Deontay Johnson, and I know his name's not on there. I'm not sure where he's going to be at on the ADP, but I think this is a scenario where I feel okay pulling the trigger on a guy like Jamison Crowder.
Yes. Yeah, me too. Love it.
8th round. Just depending on how the draft unfolds, but they're in another situation where the wide receivers banged up. Denzel Mims banged up. Perryman they brought in free agency. He's banged up. You have all this Chris Herndon hype again, but it's same shit, different day. I need to see it first before because there's been so much hype on that guy for the last 2 years, and he just hasn't been able to stay on the field and perform.
And he's going to be a waiver wire guy at the end of the day.
What's happening there? Do you think Sam Darnold's just taking his syphilis lips and gang banging everybody? Everybody's so banged up.
I did.
I feel like Jamison Crowder is kind of like I don't want to say like a poor man's Jarvis Landry. A guy who's playing in the slot a lot. He's not a high touchdown guy, but
if
he's
you're
going to
in
get you
PPR
a ton of receptions. He should get you over 1,000 yards. And when you're getting that in the 8th round, yeah, I like that. So
and he smells good.
Yeah.
No, but
I like it.
I truly do like it, and it's not a flub. Jamison Crowder, he was pretty relevant on previous teams as well, so especially in PPR, fucking hammer it. I actually don't mind taking Leonard Fournette this far down. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like a Leonard Fournette truther, and I don't know why, but I'm not mad at it. I mean, if you look at these other running backs, I'd take him over these other running backs that are going here. Let's just say, I mean, I don't think he'll fall this far because I think there's a lot of people that still might not know the news and might take him, like especially in home leagues, they might take him a little bit earlier. But if he falls here, I'm not mad at taking Leonard Fournette. Say you go the past like 4 rounds, a little wide receiver heavy, after you grab your original 2 running backs, I'm not mad at that as your RB3 flex option.
Yeah, I'm not mad at it at all either.
I mean?
But like I said, I think a lot of people are gonna be like drinking the Kool-Aid on like, oh, Fournette on the Bucs, like this is the dream team, and he'll probably be going a lot higher than that. But yeah, if he slips to the 8th round, I agree with you, Mike.
I mean, it's like who are you gonna get? Latavius Murray, which is actually not that bad. You like Matt Breida? No, but I'm saying it's like, as a handcuff, it's not too bad. But I mean, Leonard Fournette's gonna get some touches versus these other guys. You don't know exactly as much. Alexander Madison, they're all like backups, almost. What do you guys feel? So there's all these receivers here. I love Deebo Samuel in the 8th round. I like that.
Yeah,
he just got cleared, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
For week 1, right?
Yeah, all the signs are pointing that he should be good to go for week 1.
Which we already knew that information because we had Dr. Cucci on the podcast, and he gave us the 411 on that. You know what I'm saying? 1995. Let's do it. Deebo, but yeah, I love Deebo Samuel in the 8th round. Sign me up. Deontay Johnson in the 8th round. Fucking send it, dude.
No flub.
You guys like those or no?
I know. Yeah, I pretty much named every receiver that was there. I'm cool with all of them.
Yeah,
it's a good receiver round. Like
I even brought in a receiver, Jamison Crowder. I was like,
yeah, you're right. I was listening. Okay, let's move. You want to move on to the 9th round?
Let's do it.
Okay. Well, 8-12 was Tevin Coleman, which gross.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan. But 9th round, then here goes your boy Tyler Higbee, the other Tyler you absolutely love, right?
I mean, I'm not as big on Higbee, but I think when you get into the 9th round, if he's gonna be what everyone's expecting him to be, or the upside of what he could be, I think this is an okay spot to take a shot on him because by now you should pretty much have a solid, roster. You should pretty much have like your full starting lineup filled out. The last position you might need is tight end. And at this point, you can take a Higbee, and then, like you said, you can grab a Jonnu Smith, a Gesicki in these later rounds and pair him up if he doesn't be this guy that they think he is. I think initially he was kind of going around like the Darren Waller area at first, 6th, 7th, 8th round, or 6th, 7th round. I just thought that was a little bit higher. But, yeah, I think when you get to the 9th round, I don't think it's a bad to take a shot on a guy who should be in a high-powered offense because I'm pretty high on golf. I'm probably not going to have any shares of Tyler Higbee because I'm more on the Hayden Hurst train right there, but I'm not mad at it if you pull the trigger in the 9th round.
Yeah, I mean, I like you said, it was like in the I always say preseason because it's like preseason for us because we're like getting ready for fantasy.
Yeah.
In the off season, it was like he was going like 6. They had him ranked as like the 6 or 7 tight end.
Yeah.
But in mocks, he was actually falling to this range, and I like the upside in this range. Like you said, you have your core set. You're not burning too much. If it was like the 7th, 6th round, like that was way too high. You've seen what the potential upside is. I don't think he'll be what he was last year, but they are, from what I was reading in camp, they're using already 12 personnel more than they were going into this season. Coach McVay came out and said in the offseason, I found a report where he was like, there was no coincidence that once Tyler Higbee came busted out, Jared Goff became a different quarterback. And he says he has big plans for him in 2020. So I don't think Sean McVay is one of those coaches that's just going to throw flub out to throw it out there. So I like the potential upside at this point of the draft. And you said if you just take another tight end too later on to back it up with another one.
Protect your investment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good. I don't want Tyler Higbee on my team.
Why not?
I mean, it's just everything I don't know. These middle round guys, it's like I'm looking at some of these receivers with upside here. I don't know. I guess I'd rather take a CeeDee Lamb here or a Damian Harris. With everything we're hearing about it, even I mean, I'm not touching Sony Michel, but there's some other guys here that I'd rather have on my team. Not San Francisco defense, that's insane.
Yeah, don't draft a defense.
Don't draft a
in
defense
the first 10 rounds for sure.
But yeah, so especially what's his name left he went to Miami, so I'm not mad at taking a Henry Ruggs maybe here. I don't know. I tend to always just grab running back receiver all the way until it's like I forget that I still didn't take a kicker. So, yeah, I mean I'll take there's some tight ends towards the end that I'm more with than grabbing a Tyler Higbee here. I'd rather have one of these other upside running back or receivers. That's just me. Yeah. That's just I feel like I'd take the late round tight end to a different level than a lot of people.
Yeah,
that's just how I like to play,
this
baby.
This is a round though. If you kind of do pick quarterbacks, or this is kind of where I start looking, because to me it's like, I know you were saying I would still take Tyler Higbee over them, because some of these guys I'm never gonna probably play some of these guys potentially, if I have a good receiver core. But it's like, okay, now if there's still value at quarterback to me and I can jump on it in this round, like I said, you're just kind of taking shots at this part of the draft, or if there's a certain player, let's just say there is a tight end that you like there or whatever, I'm okay taking shots in this area, because it's like some of these guys, I don't know how often I'm going to be playing them. They said don't draft a defense, but the ninth round's where I've been targeting a lot of quarterbacks. Yeah,
it's a good start to, like you said, kind of see who's there and stuff like that. A guy who I like right here in the ninth round is Nkeal Hardman. I mean, to get a Chiefs player who's explosive in the ninth round seems like a deal to me. Sign me up every single day. I was actually talking to my boy Spatty about it. He was doing a trade, and we were kind of just talking about Nkeal Hardman and just saying, what his upside could potentially be. I mean, the guy was hyper efficient. I think he had like 5 touchdowns on 26 touches, which is that's obviously hard to replicate for the one touchdown every pretty much 5 times he's catching or touching the ball. But I mean, a guy who's electric, super fast. And then Sammy Watkins, guy was pretty much about to retire. He's never been the model of consistent health either. So if Sammy Watkins was to potentially go down, and now you have Nkeal Hardman and Tyreek Hill out there, I think the upside potentially, like you said, you're taking shots right here. And to take a shot on a guy who's tied to Patrick Mahomes in the Chiefs offense in the ninth round, sign me up all day.
I mean, they drafted Nkeal, the Chiefs drafted Nkeal Hardman pretty early in the draft. But I think that I remember the reason they did that was because they were looking to maybe replace Tyreek Hill, because he was getting into some trouble possibly. Yeah. They just had Kareem Hunt get in the trouble, and then they all of a sudden it started happening to Tyreek Hill, and so they were like, okay, we need to secure a receiver for this amazing quarterback we have. So Nkeal Hardman has a lot of talent. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not mad at that. Him or CeeDee Lamb, possible upside if Tyreek Hill goes down, or actually more if Sammy Watkins goes down. But yeah, I like it.
I probably won't be taking any Darius Slayton, because I'm a lot higher on Sterling Shepard. He's going. You know there. What? To me, Sterling Shepard's almost like C. Jamison Crowder, and it's almost the same thing.
100%.
But even last year, the consistency you got from a target standpoint in the PPR formats. Only one game under 7 targets. And I predict growth with Danny Dimes this year. So, and reports out of camp he's been tearing stuff up, and he's still in his 20s, I believe, versus where Golden Tate's he's getting up there now. He's got to be. I know he had a hamstring injury already occurred right there.
With some issues
already. So Sterling Shepard's becoming one of my favorite PPR targets in like that 10th 11th round.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. It's kind of shocking to see Darius Slayton above a guy like Sterling Shepard. Like I said, we haven't even seen him up there.
I will say in most mock drafts and drafts I've done so far, I do notice, because that's a good point about the Giants' wide receivers, I do notice that almost all 3 of those guys, Darius Slayton, Sterling Shepard, and Golden Tate, are all going around the same exact time. So if you're going to draft a receiver, they're all going around the same time, I would rather grab a Sterling Shepard, like you guys are saying, because he's like their guy. But
and it's like, I think this is the kind of point of the draft where you get to where, like, I don't want to say you can throw ADPs out the window, but it's kind of like, okay, like, don't be like, oh, well, the guy's got a 10th round ADP, and like you're in the 8th round, you're thinking like, okay, like a Sterling Shepard, a Jamison Crowder, you're thinking like, oh, well, the guy's got a 10th round ADP, I can wait till the 10th round to get him. But it's like, someone in your other league might be high on him, so it's like you get to the point of where, like, by now you should pretty much have your full roster already done, running backs, all that stuff, wide receivers. Don't be afraid to jump a round or 2 ahead to get your guy, especially if you're high on him. Like Anthony said, if you're high on Danny Dimes, we all are, I think, and you think he's got potential to be slinging that thing. And if Sterling Shepard's going to be the guy, I mean, why wouldn't you reach for him to go get him? Like I said, for Jamison Crowder, we think that guy could be a PPR monster. Potentially 85, 90 catches over 1,000 yards. It's like, even though his ADP right here is in the 10th round, don't be afraid to go to the 8th round and grab him because of what his value really is at the end of the day.
I mean, that being said, I did that in our draft because, obviously, me and you both love Jamison Crowder this year, and so I actually did do that exact thing. Is I went and grabbed Jamison Crowder like a round or even 2 rounds early because I was at that 12 spot and I didn't know if a whole 2 rounds later Jamison Crowder was going to come back to me. So to ensure it, I went and grabbed him. So. I think that's great advice, especially if you're higher on some of these guys.
I think you'll be more mad at not drafting the player and missing out on him than if you were to pass up on him and someone drafts him. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to be as mad grabbing him compared to if you let him slide, thinking he'll fall back to you and you miss on him, then you'll probably be more pissed at that scenario.
Especially if he hits.
Yeah.
Because then you're like, damn, and it's like,
you're like,
maybe,
God, but I played it safe, and that's how you play fantasy football.
Because Nkeal Hardman, what you say right now, he's a 9th round pick. Next year he could be a 4th round pick, 5th round pick, and then it's like that whole season you're gonna be like, God damn it, I should have taken it.
Well, that being said, let's go on to the 10th round. We got at the 10:01, well, actually 9:12 was Carson Wentz, and then we got Matt Stafford. I'm not Matt. This is where I'm like, okay, I'll take a Matt Stafford in the 10th round. I don't know about you guys. If I grab Matt Stafford and he's my QB1, and then I go and grab a Big Ben in the last round, I'm all about that. Which I think you can definitely do.
Yeah,
and then play the matchups.
I like it.
Like Anthony said, in the 9th round, 10th round, I think this is kind of where you start. If you're waiting on quarterback, this is where you kind of start to evaluate on, who's there and whatnot. I mean, I know he's not on the board right now, but I've seen scenarios where Matt Ryan falls to the 10th round, and if Matt Ryan's in the 10th round, I'm pulling the trigger every single day. I mean, you said Matthew Stafford's a good one right there, and it's like, okay, now I have my 1A, and now my 1A to my 1A 1B scenario of quarterbacks, because I like to double them up and play the matchups. So yeah, I think right here is a good little area to get Stafford. And for whatever reason, if Jamison Crowder is still available in the 10th round or Sterling Shepard, you 100% would draft those guys.
They probably will be in a lot of drafts, honestly. They're just not that sexy names, so people don't like.
Or if you're in a 10-man league, in
a
little bit deeper, these guys are sliding down. If they're, Jamison Crowder, like I said, and Sterling Shepard in the 10th round, I'm pulling the trigger. I mean, like Anthony says, sometimes I'll pick hella fast to have the other guy panic pick right away. That's what I'm doing. I'm just instantly auto picking one of those guys.
I'm on the turn in 2 drafts and it's about to be the fastest. People are like, God damn it, I fucking hate when you do that. Get better.
Yeah, and then you fart on him.
Yeah.
Wait, what? All these other guys after that, I mean, these receivers I'm with, but it's like the running backs, unless you're handcuffing, it gets gross. Now, I do see Pittsburgh's defense in here. Are you grabbing Pittsburgh's defense in the 10th round? I think you actually did that, Tyler.
I think I grabbed him in the 11th round.
Okay.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying.
I actually think I grabbed him a round later.
Yeah, and I know we're always preaching weight on defenses, but I think a couple defenses went. I mean, I think the Patriots defense went in the 7th round in that draft we did. So it just got to a point of where I felt like the value or the upside for these players, I'm drafting bench players. I'm drafting, depth. There's no starters here on my team right here. But to draft the defense like the Steelers, where, in my opinion, I think they're going to be the number 1 overall defense this year. I think that defense is it's going to be loaded. They didn't lose anybody, and like Mike, you said before, none of the players opted out, so they're getting everyone coming back. I just felt comfortable right there at the 11th. Okay, here's a defense where I can set it and forget it instead of playing or streaming. Instead of streaming defenses week in and week out, I can just draft the Steelers defense and set it and forget it. Yeah, I just love the upside of it right there.
It's like one of those things where you're like, oh yeah, that's his ADP, but in every home league, people just draft defenses early. It's just it's guaranteed to happen. I don't know. There's always one guy that maybe that's just me, but
don't be that guy.
Yeah. So Raquel Armstead's in there, and he jumped up a little bit because of Leonard Fournette's departure, but it seems as though they might be signing Devontae Freeman, possibly.
Yes,
that's the rumors.
Yeah. supposed to be visiting the Jaguars for a tryout. Raquel Armstead, he's on the COVID reserve list, so he's going to be out for at least 3 weeks. So he can't even play until week 4. I mean, they have James Robinson, Devin Ozigbo, and Chris Thompson, but I would instantly think that Devontae Freeman is better than those guys.
I mean, Chris Thompson or bust. That's what I'm thinking. And Chris Thompson's ADP is actually lower than Raquel Armstead right here.
Yeah.
But then we got Preston Williams in the what was that? How can I not read this? I don't understand.
I have no idea.
Do we want to finish on the 10th round, or do you want to keep going?
I mean, I feel like at this point, like, it's getting to the names where Tyler said it's like, take the guys you kind of like here, because we're getting into maybe one guy around that we kind of see has consistency.
Right.
So for me, it'd be like, if you're still going quarterback, this is where I would, if I haven't had one, I'd probably target my first one, because it is starting to get a little thin at this point. But as far as these rounds go, I'm targeting the players I want in that round, even if they're 2-3 rounds later, because most of these names at this point are kind of, they're starting to get really meh.
The one name I will mention is Preston Williams. I'm all about it. I'm joining the Miami fan base, like you guys over there. I'm with it. He did really well last year in the games he played.
Yeah, going in the 11th round, Preston Williams on his ADP.
And that's what we like to call horny, baby.
Value.
And that's what we call value.
Yeah,
you got to buy low and sell high, bitch.
I mean,
you
know
when to
us.
hold them, when to fold them.
Yeah.
We love Preston Williams.
All
I mean,
of
I
that.
think we saw his talent, as an undrafted rookie last year. Devontae Parker had this monster year, but prior to Preston Williams going down, it was 1A, 1B, and I think Preston Williams actually was right there neck and neck with Devontae Parker in terms of what it could be. I mean, I love Devontae Parker, and we always joke around. I always be like, "Oh, he reminds me of Devontae Parker," with these players and stuff like that. But I mean, Devontae Parker, he's only done it 1 year. Guy's always been banged up too, so I'm probably not gonna have a lot of shares of Devontae Parker unless he falls into my lap at a certain ADP. But I'm probably gonna have a lot of shares of Preston Williams, because for whatever reason, if let's just say flip side, Devontae Parker gets down and now it's Preston Williams who's kind of the number one receiver there with no Devontae Parker being injured. I mean, we could see a scenario where Preston Williams has a Devontae Parker-like season, putting up over 1,100 yards, a ton of touchdowns, and he could be the one in the offense going forward. And you're getting him, 5 rounds later potentially?
Yeah. I mean, he's a name where it's like some of these ADPs sometimes I feel like a little skewed, because there's people drafting who are very knowledgeable, but when you get into the home leagues, I don't think there's many people who know who Preston Williams is, to be honest.
Nobody.
So you might even be able to get him. So if you don't want to play that game, but you could probably get him 12th, 13th round. If you're someone who maybe not a fan and you're in that type of your draft where you're like, I don't know who to take right here, and Preston Williams is still there, grab him. I will say one thing, like, if we're going to cut it off, is with everything with COVID going on, I will not be drafting a kicker. I will be taking an extra player because of potential of someone to go down for COVID and miss 3 weeks, or just certain situations. I don't draft kickers anyways. I always take an extra player. But let's just say, for example, I'm trying to
which is a great strategy. So what you do, I'm just trying to like reiterate it so people understand, is like you just don't even draft a kicker, and then when that extra player doesn't work out that week, you just drop them and pick up a kicker and throw them in. Yeah,
I drop him the day, like a day or two before, if I know that for sure that guy is healthy and gonna be playing. Then I pick my kicker for week 1. So that's how I do it. And there's definitely some scenarios where that could end up paying off if something happens to one of these running backs and they go down because of COVID or something like that. And a situation arises where these guys need to step in.
Yeah. Well, and they're not going to announce you guys told me this, is that so they're not going to announce the COVID thing until like 10 minutes before the game starts or something like that, right?
That's what I've researched. It's not going to be until the inactives go on, or what I've read. So the inactives, I think they have to go out about an hour and a half or an hour before the game.
Yeah, it's like at least an hour.
Not 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said that, but
no, that's fine. So that's when it's going to happen.
So that being said, which I'm going to start doing this year, especially like I'm kind of have the same strategy, but this year, especially like you're saying, especially when these guys, you're not going to find out till like an hour before, definitely have like these backups, these Tony Pollards and
the Darrell Williams, even like the Benny Snell. There's some of these guys who are just, we kind of know they're the backup, and if something happens to these potential or these workhorse type of guys, it's going to be okay. I can plug and play this guy, or no one can play him because I have him.
Yeah.
By the way, the backup for Christian McCaffrey has changed. because they dropped. I think they released
Mike Davis.
Yeah, they released Reggie Bafanapan, and so it's Mike Davis now. So if you're trying to handcuff Christian McCaffrey, there's a little insight for you.
Mike
If you didn't know, okay, go grab Mike Davis. Okay.
So, yeah, like Anthony said, we can cut it right here. But who are just some of like these late round flyer guys right here? I mean, I kind of see Chris Thompson. I just wanted to bring him up. Obviously, with the whole Fournette situation. I mean, we'll see if they sign Devontae Freeman or not. But I mean, Chris Thompson being one of Jay Gruden's guys, as long as he can stay healthy, I think in PPR he's a sneaky good value in the later rounds. But I mean, like, who are some of these players that you're taking a shot on in these later rounds? That you're aiming for, despite the ADP.
There's a decent amount of guys I like despite the ADP. I used to like Jalen Reagor, but he might not even be ready for the year, so let's scratch that.
What about Deshaun then? Because, I mean, it's looking like he's the only healthy receiver there with no Reagor.
I think someone with Deshaun, we've talked about it a few times, like we feel like he's a value. I'm trying to look even later.
What about Anthony Miller? Because I feel like people are kind of sleeping on him. Do you think he's got potential to be, a solid player, a flex guy, wide receiver 3?
I say yes, but I think in the beginning of the year I'm going to have a little trouble starting him because even if he's the first couple weeks, depending on what the Bears offense is like, because we don't know yet, I'm going to have a little bit of trouble trusting any kind of consistency when we know Allen Robinson's essentially the one there. There's definitely playable too, so I do like him long season, but like I said, he might be somewhere if I do grab him, I'm kind of holding and waiting a few weeks, or maybe I'm trying to package him in some type of trade, even though I don't trade, but if I did, I would. Yeah. But yeah, no, I like Anthony Miller. I think he was like wasn't he something sneaky, like a top 25 receiver down the stretch for
Yeah, he's lined up in the slot predominantly down the stretch.
And if Nick Foles is there, I mean, that's, even though they named Mitch Trubisky as a starter, which makes my Allen Robinson stock
but Allen Robinson
he was still good. He was still
he was
still good with them last year. Allen Robinson's gonna get enough targets for it not to matter. But I mean, which I predict will happen, and I think everybody is once Nick Foles starts, I think Anthony Miller sneaky. I like John Brown actually.
Yeah, John Brown. Michael Pittman's another name I like.
Yeah, Michael Pittman. Even Paris Campbell, I'm not mad at. If you're picking one or the other, obviously Jonnu Smith I'm gonna hyper target in a lot of leagues.
Yeah,
Mike Gesicki.
For some reason I wasn't even looking at the tight ends. Yeah, those two names as well.
Yeah.
I really like Goff as a late round quarterback. I mean, 4,600 yards back-to-back season. I know last year his touchdown ratio or touchdown percentage dipped down dramatically from I think it was like a 5.5 average the last 2 years or whatever, and then dipped down to like 2.5 or something like that. So, I mean, it's just crazy to think that if, we're high on Cooper Kupp, we're high on Robert Woods, we're high on Higbee, how could you not be high on the guy who's throwing him the ball, especially when you're getting him, in the 13th, 14th round. So, yeah, he's one of my favorite guys to grab later and then just match up based with quarterbacks.
And here's the thing, dude. I'll let you have him.
I just scared myself with the mouse. But no, I know you bring this point up a lot. I actually like Goff a lot too. I'll take him too, Mike, if you want to give him to us. But you brought up the point where it was the running back position for the New Orleans Rams had, I think it was like almost, what was it, 20 touchdowns or 20, whatever it was. It was a high number, which I see that coming down with the departure of Todd Gurley. I know you really like Cam Akers, but there's no guarantee that he's a good goal line back or even any of these guys are effective in the red zone. And to the point of the weapons he has with Cooper Kupp, potentially Tyler Higbee, even Gerald Everett too was essentially somewhat of a threat. Robert Woods, I love Jared Goff late. It wouldn't surprise me if they were top 3 in amount of passes thrown, and he goes for over 30 touchdowns again. So I'm with it late.
Yeah.
Would you rather have Ryan Tannehill or Jared Goff?
No, I'll go Goff.
Yeah, I'll go Goff.
What about, you were high on Baker Mayfield? Do you like him?
I'll go Goff because it's a pass-happy offense compared to a run-heavy offense. But I wouldn't be mad at pairing the two together and then playing the matchups.
Yeah. Or even Goff and Tannehill.
Yeah, I was just curious more like your perception.
But a name I see right here too, I think, I know, Mike, you brought him up as one of your guys potentially as a sleeper, one of your guys. But Nkeal Harry. So, I mean.
Yeah, that's hot.
You have Nkeal Harry. Obviously, Edelman's the PPR guy, but, they had Mohamed Sanu, which they traded a second-round draft pick for last year. They ended up cutting him, so they pretty much just traded a second-round draft pick for a half-a-year rental. It just has to mean that potentially they have a lot of faith in Nkeal Harry to be this guy. And one thing about Cam, we'll see if his shoulder can hold up and throw deep. But I mean, that year with Ted Ginn, bunch of touchdowns deep. Even Kelvin Benjamin, another big body guy, his rookie year over 1,000 yards, a bunch of touchdowns. Because Cam would just chuck it up to him. Nkeal Harry's, he's a big boy. So I think Nkeal Harry could be a sneaky late round guy. I'll probably be grabbing him in a lot of drafts that I do going forward and just kind of stash him on my bench, and I'll see how this Patriots offense unwinds. And, I would imagine a scenario where he's out there majority of the snaps with Edelman, as the one and the two wide receivers on the offense.
What do you think about Robbie Anderson? You just out because Bridgewater or
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty late for a guy who's not that bad.
I mean, I guess you could say
you could take a swing on it, but
the coach over there, I think it's Matt Rule. He was the coach for him back at Temple when Robbie Anderson was in college. So obviously he's acclimated to the system. He knows how to use Robbie Anderson better than probably anybody does. So I mean, can we see some boom games from Robbie Anderson? 100%. It's not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, because I'm actually, I'm trying to grab him if I went more running back heavy, which is not usually the case. I'm trying to grab him off. Like, you'd be surprised people aren't even drafting him. So,
yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about some kickers. No, I'm just kidding. Don't even draft a kicker. I think I'm gonna just not even start one the rest of the year.
I'm gonna start Young Hoku just 'cause I like his name. And he plays for Atlanta, so he wasn't bad actually last year.
Yeah. So in one of my drafts, I don't have a kicker
though.
yet because of the value of the players that were still on the board. I was like, I can't let this guy be available, and I've been struggling on who to drop to pick up a kicker. I even thought about maybe potentially not having a kicker just to kind of keep my
Don't
roster.
do that. I did that last year. It didn't work.
But
don't do that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to end up dropping somebody, but it just makes me mad because as soon as I drop somebody, I know they're going to get swooped up right away, but...
your team's that good, huh?
It's not that
my team's so good. Everybody wants my team. As soon as I drop them, they're going to be gone.
The guy I dropped is for sure going to get picked up. I'll just say that much. I'm not going to say who it is, but...
You just did it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll check.
You'll probably pick him up,
honestly,
pussy.
I feel like me and you pick each other's drops off all the time.
You're for sure going to go pick him up, I bet. 100%.
I can't wait.
Whatever, I'll trade you Gasecki for him.
All right, chill. We're not talking about our league. We're giving advice to the people, okay?
For sure.
But we could end that there. Just wanted to give a little round by round. People we like, people who we don't like. After we got to a certain point, it was hard to point out the people we don't like because it was slim pickings for people we actually do like. So, but that was a quick little episode for you, okay? Hopefully this helps you with your fantasy football league. We appreciate you guys listening. We see all the comments, everything like that. We just appreciate you guys, If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube. Like this video. Leave us a rating and review on the Apple Podcast app if you haven't already. Just subscribe to us on everything. Follow us. Leave us some likes. Leave us some love. That's what I'm going to start calling it. Just leave us some social media love. You know what I mean? Give it to us. We want some love from you. We want you to make sweet, sweet social media love to us. Would you do it for me? But this was episode, I think I said 42, but I think it's episode 43. Season 3, third year, baby. We're giving out this advice for you big boys out there in the fantasy football atmosphere. And we just, us boys are out. Enjoy your fantasy football future. Goodbye.